I had a dream that I went back to prison, but it was strange because somehow it was prison YouTube that got me locked up again. I can't remember exactly what it was I was locked up for, but I remember it wasn't just me. It was all of us, or a lot of us at least. Rabbit, me, Jellicoe and Yanni, Tom, and for some strange reason even 1090 Jake was there. I fucked this up for all of us, and I don't remember how. But every one of these guys were pissed off that I did this, and I knew that I was about to be alone in here, with every one of these guys out to get me. What the hell happened? And what did I do that caused all of us to be in prison again? It's like my mind was completely wiped clean of the event. Was I going to be able to survive this? Or more importantly, fix this and try to get us all out of here? The next thing I remember, we were in the chow hall. Rabbit was sitting next to me because he was made to. Clearly he wasn't happy with me, and neither was Tom. The food here didn't look so bad, but it was strange. They served us chow right at the table. I'd never been locked up anywhere where they did that before. 1090 Jake seemed to be making the best of it, and Yanni didn't have much to say. All I could remember was that I somehow landed all of us here, but I couldn't remember how. Off in the distance, we could hear the sounds of other prisoners, but we couldn't see them. It sounded like we were locked up in some third world country's women's prison. I guess that wouldn't be so bad if that was the case. For some reason, I kept remembering something about an email or an offer that kept popping up in my mind. I didn't know why, but something kept telling me that was important. Eventually, it would come to me exactly what I had done. I forgot that I signed up for this experimental new prison TV show where contestants would be kidnapped in the middle of the night, hit with a blow dart style horse tranquilizer so not to remember anything, and then cast off to Cuba to serve a 5-year prison sentence in a maximum security women's prison. Yep, Joe with the great ideas. And to make matters worse, I had to list 5 other people to join me on this quest. I was just kidding when I filled out the application, thinking there's no way this would ever happen. But there we were, in fucking Cuba. We weren't even getting paid for this. My wife told me she was leaving me when I was allowed to make my one phone call. 1090 Jake and Tom wanted to kill me for getting them wrapped up in all of this, and I tried to explain to everyone that all I was trying to do was get After Prison Show back on top. Hell, we'd all have some new prison stories to tell after this one. But that didn't matter to anyone, and once again I knew what I thought could be a great idea was in fact the exact opposite of that. And this time was about to cost me everything. Maybe even my life. Somehow, in some way, I was going to have to do whatever I had to get us all out of this. And by any means necessary at that. Time went on and I knew all I needed was to find a prison pen pal, and maybe through that prison pen pal I could find a way to get us all out of this mess. The TV show was a bust. The production company went belly up in the middle of filming the first episode, and we were all left behind as collateral. They said they'd come back to get us, but I knew they weren't coming back. They were talking about a new prison TV show on the way out the door. Something about mixing my 600-pound life with American Ninja Warrior. They weren't coming back, and I had to do something. A few months went by and we were all forced to adapt and accept the fact that what was supposed to be a reality TV show turned into just another prison stay, only one without a release date. Rabbit and Jellicoe seemed the least upset by this, and in fact it wasn't long before they were feeling right at home. But that wasn't the same for the other guys. I heard through inmate.com that Tom had purchased a knife on the yard and him and 1090 Jake were planning to stab me. Yanni, on the other hand, was so traumatized by the fact he was locked up again, he developed an eating disorder. But on the plus side, he thought the food here was amazing and said that when he got out, he was going to start a prison YouTube channel called After Prison Food Show. Meanwhile, I exchanged a few favors I wasn't proud of and couldn't walk afterwards. But I accomplished the mission. Sitting on an inflatable in the infirmary because I couldn't sit down any other way, I felt like things were falling right into place. Those painful favors had yielded me some help from the outside, and an ad posted on Cuban Craigslist where I said I was looking for an English-speaking prison pen pal. And boy, did I ever strike gold. I got a letter from a woman who worked in the American Embassy in Cuba, and she said she wanted to come visit me. But there was a bit of a catch, she said. Oh boy, I thought. What more was I about to get myself into? Visitation day came and Margarine, that was her name, came to see me. Interesting about this Cuban prison was the fact that they didn't have contact visits, so we were forced to talk to each other through a plexiglass window. I was half thinking that I might get some action in this VI, but that idea quickly died because for some reason Margarine had brought her daughter with her to come visit me. I was a little confused as to why she did, and she told me she'd explain. I told her what had happened that landed not only me here, but 5 other people as well, and she told me that was the dumbest shit she had ever heard in her life. But like most all prison pen pal situations, we had an instant connection. I needed her to send that, but not money. A kite to the American ambassador of Cuba to get us all out of here. She said that she could make that happen, but she needed something from me first. Anything, I told her. She said her daughter needed a father. What the fuck? I literally just met this woman 5 minutes ago, I thought to myself. See, Margarine had no idea who her baby's daddy was. In fact, she told me it was between like 6 different guys, and none of them wanted anything to do with little Jody. She was telling me all of this right in front of little Jody, which I guess was her daughter's name, and I thought this was strange. But being a desperate man who had already done a ton of desperate shit just to get to this point, I said, yeah, sure, of course. I'll be that baby's pappy. Margarine laughed and handed the phone to little Jody, who asked, hey, are you my new daddy now? Yeah, I guess I am, kid. At least for right now. In this one make-believe moment, I guess I'm your daddy now. How you doing there, sport? Hey, don't forget to remind your mommy to send that, okay? It's very important that she sends that. Little Jody handed the phone back to her mother, and it was in that moment that I realized Margarine, like a lot of women who get involved with prisoners, was absolutely batshit crazy. But she was all I had to count on to help get us out of this mess. All I could do was hope that somehow she was going to be able to pull this off. And if she did, not only was I getting out of Cuba as fast as humanly possible, but I was getting the hell away from this situation with her as well. After visitation, I knew there was only one thing left to do. I had to deal with Tom and the fact that I knew he wanted to stab me. And it looked like all of this was going to be settled over a game of prison rules basketball. Me, Jellicoe, and Rabbit versus Tom, 1090 Jake, and Yanni. I immediately went to work shooting straight bricks. But then I crossed over Yanni and 1090 Jake and found my rhythm. I broke Yanni's ankles with my next move, and Tom tried to post me up. Oh, we're playing dirty now. Okay. Tom was absolute garbage on the court, and I don't know why they didn't put 1090 Jake on me instead. But really, I knew there was a beef that needed to be settled, so I just kept dog walking him in the paint. I think I put up 40 points on Tom before he took another cheap shot, and now I was seeing red. Okay, motherfucker, I see where this is going. This is how you want to play? I brought the ball into play and drove right through Tom and put him on his ass. 1090 Jake was trying to tell Tom to get up and do something, while Rabbit, Jellicoe, and Yanni were all laughing at Tom. antagonizing him and trying to hype him up to get up and take care of business. Kick Joe's ass, they said. He's the reason we're all here anyway, stuck in this twisted dream and false hope that all of this would somehow bring After Prison Show back from the ashes. But little did any of them know what all I had done trying to get us out of this mess. I broke through the crowd and told Tom to get up. Let's finish this. And I immediately went to work putting the absolute bung on him. If Tom's basketball game was trash, his fight game was non-existent. Dude had me looking like Chuck Norris out on this rec yard. Bung, bung, bing, bung, bung. Tom swung wildly with every punch thrown, and it was like he was an airbender or some shit, because air was the only thing he was connecting with. While on the other hand, either my punches yielded Tom minimal damage, or maybe he was just a glutton for punishment because he kept coming back for more. And with that, I took everything out on him. I couldn't sit down comfortably anymore because of all this. I had to adopt little Jody. All of this, just in an effort to try to get us out of here. And the whole time, all Tom was doing was making plans to stab me. I couldn't let that go. But then Tom pulled out a knife, and not a prison one neither. Dude had a whole ass switchblade. But I had some time to prepare for this encounter myself, and I had fashioned a shiv out of a pair of fingernail clippers and a cone. One of us was about to die here. But before we could see which one that would be, the guards broke us up, and immediately, we were hauled off to the hole. I spent the rest of my time in isolation after the fight with Tom. I heard the other guys ended up on lockdown too because of what happened on the rec yard. This bad dream just kept getting worse and felt like one that I couldn't wake up from. But spending so much time alone, I did a lot of soul searching and came to the realization that I'd made a lot of mistakes doing things that I thought at the time were right for After Prison Show, including signing up for what I thought was supposed to be this TV show. Ironically, while I was in the hole, I was still allowed visitation, and Margarine came to see me a few more times over the course of the next couple of months. Not every visit was a good one neither, like the time she told me she had forged my name on little Jody's birth certificate. I wasn't too happy about that. But she made it up for me during the next visit when she told me that she had gone to the ambassador's ball and slept with every single person there that night. She was pregnant again, and again, had no idea who her baby's daddy was. But that promiscuous night yielded results. She was able to get the ambassador to make a phone call to the prison and advocate for the release of all of us. And over the course of the next few weeks, Jellicoe and Tom, Rabbit, Yanni, and 1090 Jake would all be released. What I didn't know was that Margarine had asked the ambassador to ensure that I was released a few weeks after the rest of the guys, and not at the same time, so that they couldn't try to kill me again as soon as we were all free. But finally came the day for me to be released, and waiting there was Margarine and little Jody, a family that wasn't mine, but in this moment was the only family that I had. And I realized something then. You see, sometimes in life we can do things that cause everyone we care about to turn away from us. But if you're lucky enough to have anyone in your corner during your darkest days, then those are the people you should always hold on to. Margarine left me 8 days after I had been released to be with Tom. I guess somehow he had been writing her the whole time too.